Hello all and welcome back to Xplane 11. Today we are going to continue finally the final leg across the Mediterranean into the Middle East. We are taking off in Cyprus and landing in Beirut at Rafik Hariri airfield. Xplane 11 has patched up to 11.10 in the last week or so, so I'm going to have a look at maybe some of the changes. One thing I would like to see is whether the air traffic control is substantially better. So I'm going to be using the in-sim air traffic control. I will not be using IVAO or the like. So let's get a flight plan submitted. I'll just shove the radios on and we'll submit a flight plan.
November 172 Sierra Papa Lima Charlie Echo November altimeter 3014.
Okay, so 3014, that's just about where it is already actually. Okay, that's fine. Let's get a flight plan in. Oscar Lima Bravo Alpha, I believe, just confirming that, and we'll go with the 4500. We won't do any intermediate steps. Okay, flight plan is now submitted.
Lima, Charlie, Echo, November, altimeter 3014, November 172, Sierra, Papa.
Okay, just turn the radio volume down. Hopefully that's not so loud now. Good, we can turn the radios off now before we start the engine. And we'll go through the engine start procedure, which is slightly different from the stock C172. Mix full out, throttle to 25%, fuel pump on, wait for the fuel flow gauge to change. Let's just see if it does move at all. There's no appreciable change in that. Go full. Ah, there we go. There's the change. Excellent. Fuel pump off. And we'll just zoom ourselves out here. So we go to about 25 throttle and we wriggle the throttle whilst starting the ignition. There we go. Engine is started. Now we can turn a few beacons and lights on. Get taxi lights on. Just a couple of stutters there as my lights were coming on, I think. I have noticed that my frame rate is not very good. And I'm also getting a lot of frame tearing when I turn my head. So we'll have to be careful. Just checking that the flaps are up. Very well. Radios can now come back on. It says we need to align the directional gyro here. So what are we heading currently? About 165 it shows there. Oops. And my heading to get to Beirut is going to be about 130, which is about there. So we'll just do that. Okay, we should be good there. Directional gyro is not aligned with magnetic north. Oh well. Okay, everything else looks pretty decent here. We'll now see if we can request a taxi. It doesn't look like we can. Do I have to file this flight plan again? Maybe the ATC is not working as we would have hoped. It's just... Okay, so it doesn't seem like it wants us to... Yeah, it should be auto-tuned to the right channel. The COM1 radio. So I'm not quite sure why we're not getting any response. Never mind. I haven't actually played this for the longest of times. Oh, that's interesting. Right, so they're refusing to give me any kind of air traffic control. I'm not going to mess around with this. Either I'm doing something wrong or it's just broken. I'm very keen to get this leg out the way though, because it's going to be a long old leg and it's going to be mostly flying out over the water. We'll stick the alternator on now too, so we start. I'm going to run the battery down. Ground handling, I think, is a lot better now. Actually, I'm just running my exactly the same setup as I was running previously, and I'm getting good ground control. So it appears that the woes of the ground handling, which I was having terrible trouble with, are now solved. I'm not going to bother with any run-ups either. Just a quick check of the airspace to make sure no one's inbound. And we're going to tootle out here. So I think I will in future use the IVAO system because it's clearly not working here. Well, it's not intuitive anyway. Okay, so this runway should be about an easterly heading. Yep, that's about right. Let's get airborne. I've got quite a lot of fuel in the tanks today. I decided to... Oh, there's a nice amount of torque off to the right. Okay, it's a bit shifty there, wanting to not really stay lined up. It's quite difficult to hold it. Wow, that was incredibly difficult to hold the aeroplane in line. I've got to learn how to operate this aircraft in the takeoff roll again. Okay, world's worst takeoff, but we're airborne. We're going to turn south on to 180 just for the initial fly out. We're going to have a little fly past La Cana if that airfield is visible. Okay, let's do some quick checks here. Nav and strobe can remain on. Should actually have that on standby and shove it on 2000. Ugh. Right, what's our heading now? Just about south. And we're away from the field and off we go. So this is going to be a very long flight. I'm going to have to find lots of things to talk about. I do have some topics to discuss today on our way south and east rather, including but not limited to recent developments in combat flight simming and perhaps a bit of a chat about some things that might be coming up on the channel. So there we go. What are we going to level off at here? I'm going to put some right rudder trim in. I'll climb till about 4,000 feet, I think.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Cleared IFR to Oscar Lima Bravo Alpha as filed. Maintain 5,000. Squawk 4700.
Cleared IFR to Oscar Lima Bravo Alpha as filed. Maintain 5,000. Squawk 4700. November 172 Sierra Papa.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Squawk 4700.
There we go. Squawking now. Sorry, that just took a little bit more time. Okay, heading and altitude. We can probably hold off here. It's just I should have done that already, but let's go. Okay, that should hold us in now.
Squawk 4700. November 172 Sierra Papa.
November 172 Sierra.
Okay, we're going to climb and maintain 5,000. Okay, so up we go.
5,000. November 172 Sierra Papa.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Fly heading 130.
Okay, and we're going to turn on to 130.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Resume on navigation.
Oh goodness, they're really coming at me thick and fast at the moment.
Navigation. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Okay, so we'll roll out on 130.
172 Sierra Papa. Climb and maintain 5,000.
Yeah, alright. Jeez. Is my trim wheel turning? Yep. Just trying to get the nose up. Okay, yeah, we'll read back.
Up to 5,000. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Let's climb, let's climb, let's climb. Okay, we are going up here. Okay, so air traffic control has suddenly come to life after my little transmission. I'm not quite sure when you're supposed to send that request clearance mission. I guess there was no controlled ATC at that airfield, but now that we're up and in airspace, I am being controlled for the moment. So it looks like I'm not able to go to Lanaka. We're not going to see it. It's off in that direction. It's quite a hazy day, so we can't see the field from here. Got to keep climbing, because as soon as you stop climbing, they start yelling at you, the traffic control. Just do a quick engine and instruments check. Everything looks green. Plenty of fuel today. I took about nearly a full tank. Well, full tanks, plural. There are 2 of them. Still climbing here, coming up on 3,000, so we are halfway up our climb. There's the 3,000 feet mark, climbing at 750 feet per minute. Punching through some of this light cloud. I have not done a night flight in Xplane 11 for a very long time, so I'm hoping we'll get a couple of night flights in soonish. And as we get further east around the globe, it becomes more and more likely that we'll be doing night flights, because I'm using real world time, so in the afternoons for me, it'll be already well into the evening for this part of the world. So we'll get some more night flights. And the nighttime lighting in Xplane, especially the ground lighting, is very good. They have had a lot of problems implementing the light at night, particularly from the moon, but I saw in the patch notes that the moon lighting has now been fixed or updated, so I'm expecting that to now look a lot better. Well, we won't find out on this flight. We'll have to wait for a future iteration. 4,000, 1,000 to go, climbing now at about 600 per minute, 700 per minute. Got a high nose attitude. And we're maintaining 138, so we need to come left a fraction just to stay on our 130 heading. We'll lose a bit of climb rate as we do that. Shed some lift off the wings in the turn, and now the lift is returning. We're coming up to the coast now, just about to leave Cyprus. Now the heavy lifting will begin soon. Coming up on also 5,000 feet, 300 to go. Then we'll be hitting the heading and altitude on the AP over here. That's a heading of about 133. Let's try and come left just one more degree. We've got 100 feet to go. Okay, 130. Oh, we're just about stopped climbing here. I just want a little bit more climb, and then we'll hit the AP. And whoopsie daisy, I forgot to set it to 130. For some reason, we've gone into a hellish dive. Whoa, why are we diving? Okay, let's get out of this dive. Oof. Wow, that was extreme. That's very dangerous flying. Right, got visual again now. So I want to try and trim this aeroplane into position first. And really holding that trim wheel back. Okay, can we fly level on the trim? Okay, that's good. That is basically trimmed out now. We're a little bit high. Now, will the aeroplane now just hold my heading? It's 140, so I'm going to bring this left. To about there. Okay, now we're working. And I can probably bring the mixture back a bit. Just to save a little fuel. 5,100 feet, that's okay. The aircraft's now flying itself. Good. Okay, so a moment of high terror there. But life seems to have solved any imminent problems that we have. Now, I'm just going to take a look on Sky Vector, which you won't see me doing. I have Sky Vector up on another screen, and I'm looking at the layout of Rafik Hariri, and there is actually an approach runway which comes in from the northwest. So I'm hoping we get that. Actually, that would be a very good runway to come in on. And now what we'll do is we'll just get a nice little bit of a view here. Just going to pause track IR so it doesn't show me moving around so much. And we'll just let the aeroplane, in fact that's just a little bit too much to the left. Let's do something like this. That is better. 6 degrees up here. I may turn the pitot heat on. Although 6 is well enough for us not to worry about icing actually. There's no need for pitot heat. Quick check of the instruments. Everything is showing in the green. And we are now over the water. I'll just confirm with the map here. There you go, you can see. So we've come away and turned left. There's a bit of air activity up ahead of us, so we're going to have to keep our eyes open. These guys are operating up at 36, 3,000. He's actually not terribly far away from me in terms of altitude, and he's at 15. So this guy is probably one we're going to have a little think about. My heading's holding 137 at the moment, so I'm actually going to bring that left. And I think we're actually being blown off to the right with a bit of wind, but it's nothing too frightening. So, 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, can't remember exactly when it was now, 2 days ago, Team Fusion released the latest patch for IL-2 Cliffs of Dover. And I did have a quick look at some of the single player parts of the patch on my channel on Friday. And that video was very well patronized, I must say. A lot of discussion in the comment section. Some I agree with, and some I think is perhaps misguided. But we are now 2 or 3 days into the patch, and I am starting to form a more solid opinion about how Cliffs of Dover has panned out. And my overall feeling is that it is not particularly likely that I will be spending much time playing Cliffs of Dover ever again. What that means for Storm of War, the server I am a member of looking after, is another question, which I know the guys are taking it seriously. They are looking at patch 4.5 in some detail over the next week or so to see whether they think it is worthwhile resurrecting the Storm of War server. Me personally, I am not so thrilled by Cliffs of Dover. There are, oh wow, that was an interesting cloud jump there. There are a few things, starting with the way it looks. Graphically, it's really showing its age now. I noticed that some people in the comments section to my previous video about the patch were full of superlatives for how it looks, and I honestly can't agree with them. There are 2 or 3 very obvious things that I would use to draw comparisons with other flight sims. The first one being the very, very jagged edges. Anti-aliasing does not seem to get rid of the jaggies at all. I've tried having it on both in-game and then using NVIDIA control panel to add anti-aliasing, but it's very, very jaggy. The horizon is jaggy, the aircraft cockpits are very jaggy for me, and it's at its worst when there are enemy aircraft or other aircraft nearby and I look across at them without being fully zoomed in, and they are just a jaggy mess. Another thing is I noticed that the aircraft decals are very, very low resolution when the aircraft are about 500 or less than that, actually probably about 300 meters away. I was flying in formation with some other Spitfires, and at the normal field of view they were just basically a flat pale brown texture. There were no detailed decals showing, no aircraft markings showing, no shading. It was quite poor. In terms of ground textures, the actual textures themselves have improved. However, there is a very obvious visibility bubble now that is quite close to the aircraft. In my preview video you can see it actually, flying over Wilmington at one point. I look down and you can see this straight line where the trees end and the buildings end. It seems to me to be much closer than what it's like in other sims, and it in fact seems to me to be even closer than it used to be in Cliffs before the 4.5 patch. I'm very tempted to boot up 4.312 again and do a side-by-side comparison just to see, but I'm very surprised at how near the detail was rendering. And the old problem of hangars and buildings not rendering in on airfields until you're very close in is still there. And one of the things that Storm of War was in particular trying to promote is high level and medium level bombing. And if you can't see the structures on the fields, you just can't accurately bomb. If you can't see the structures that make up targets, you can't bomb them. And that forces everyone down to lower altitudes, which is both non-historical and, two, boring and repetitive. So there's a few major graphical issues. Oh, there's also some stuff on the map which they simply haven't fixed. For example, around Bournemouth there is a ghost airfield. There's airfield hangars just planted on the map. Team Fusion have known about this. It's been reported on their bug tracker and does not appear to have been fixed. So God knows what else on the map has been left in its poor state. The last sort of graphical thing that I've noticed already that I'm not happy with is just the general interface and the background images they've added there. It's very cluttered and ugly. This is more of a stylistic thing. It doesn't really affect gameplay, but it just looks dated and ugly. So those were some graphical things that I've noticed. There are some more serious things which relate to more core engine stuff. There are a lot of reports of incredibly poor netcode, desyncing. Red Dog, one of the guys I fly combat sims with, he went into a multi-crew position with Dietrich, and after about 15 minutes they suddenly desynced from each other. Red Dog was flying across the map on his own and Dietrich was going off in the other direction, even though they were apparently sitting inside the same bomber aircraft. This is another thing that I find quite disappointing, because being able to have large number of multi-crew bombers online was one of the things that Storm of War was very keen on developing. I have heard rumours of problems with multi-engine aircraft despawning. I haven't witnessed this myself, but I've heard rumblings. I'm not exactly sure what the nature of this problem is, but it sounds like there are some serious instabilities associated with people despawning from multi-engine aircraft. But that's speculative. I haven't done any testing, but I'm almost certain that Red Dog and Dietrich will be looking at that in detail over the next few days to see if that rumour is substantiated in any way. Another problem I've been informed of is the Übungsammunition, which is a practice round in the Luftwaffe aircraft. It's a very similar round in effect to the observer ammunition that the British have, and basically it should be very low to almost no damage inflicting. It's basically there to train pilots in their gunnery. Argelmouth, who is a squad mate of mine, reported this problem with this ammunition in previous iterations of Cliffs of Dover, saying that it was essentially inflicting far too much damage than it should historically. He tested this a couple of days ago or yesterday and uploaded a video to YouTube showing that this ammunition is still basically an area explosive round. It can damage all sorts of pieces of aeroplane. It doesn't even need to score a direct hit, apparently. And he is frustrated to the point where he now has uninstalled Cliffs of Dover Blitz Edition and will not be returning. I'm just looking through some of the other discussions on the Storm of War website, some various bugs and things that have been reported. I know Dietrich spent, I think, 25 minutes in the ground in a BR-20 trying to get the airplane to warm up. He had the radiators closed, and as soon as you advance the throttle or the RPM, the engines will cut out. So you have to maintain low RPM and low throttle in order to warm the engines up, but it takes 25 minutes to get to temperature. Now that may or may not be realistic, but it sounds like it's probably not realistic. It sounds like it probably wasn't even tested. But I don't know. I don't really know where that's come from, and it certainly sounds like flying the BR-20 unless you air spawn is a waste of time.
172 Sierra.
Okay,
Papa.
we've got a
Heading 120.
we've got a red.
Heading 120.
I've been told to change course, so
172 Sierra.
I'm just
Papa.
going to change course here using the.
November 172 Sierra. Papa. Resume on navigation.
And we can.
On navigation. November 172 Sierra. Papa.
Okay, so we just had a course adjust there, not by much. I need to keep coming left here because I'm actually using this digital compass to tell me what my heading really is. Because I've noticed that the compasses still aren't very well aligned. Okay, that'll do. There we're heading on 120 or thereabouts. So having a good old discussion about this TF 4.5 patch. I think those are the main issues that I have had reported at the moment. I'm sure more stuff is going to emerge over the next few days. I guess there's a general feeling developing that there were some things that Cliffs of Dover already did well. In fact, already did possibly better than other competitor games. And some of those things now appear to be broken. So there's some major questions that need answering, or major investigations that need going on, or some serious beta testing which needs to occur, which perhaps didn't occur. I did see some videos of guys doing beta testing, but it just seemed like a bunch of chaps flying around in circles having a junket. There did not appear to be any systematic, controlled, repetitive testing going on. That's just in the videos that we saw online, though. There may have been other stuff going on behind closed doors, but it certainly did not create the impression that the beta testing was being approached in a systematic manner. It seemed like it was awfully haphazard and a bit of a lark, to be honest. So there we are with Cliffs of Dover 4.5. I'm going to give it another week. I'm going to have another little look. I may go online. I did jump online for about 10 minutes yesterday. I spent about 8 minutes in cockpit, and I became so thoroughly discouraged with everything I saw that I was unable to record the video I intended to record, and I had to quit. So I will have another go, hopefully during the week. If you don't see any more upload from me on Cliffs of Dover, you'll know what has happened. So that brings us to the other two sort of combat sims which I'm looking at the moment. One being IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad, Moscow, Kuban, calling it BOX. And the other, obviously, is DCS. Now, DCS is primarily a jets sim, so I can't really compare the jet stuff. Suffice to say that DCS has been the platform that, for the first time in my life, has got me interested in flying combat jet aircraft. So kudos to DCS for that. I thoroughly enjoy flying the Viggen. It's a fantastic aeroplane. And I also quite enjoy the Sabre. On the World War II side, everyone is well aware of the shortcomings currently of DCS World War II, but one must be constantly reminded that it is in fact still a beta product. In fact, I think it's an alpha, open alpha product. So DCS itself is not yet ready. I also note that there was a very strong statement from Wags, which was issued about 2 weeks ago, and he reiterated DCS's commitment to the ongoing development of the World War II project. I noticed that there was a pretty solid update for 2.2, which included a lot of new 3D models, a lot of adjustments to the map, and I put out a video showing some of those changes. There are more besides, which I did not show and which I'm very interested in. But I am very, very interested in 2.5 release. I'm very interested in what Ergodynamics are going to do with the World War II platform. At the moment, the biggest flaws I would say that need changing are the damage model. and we know that that is coming along because Sith Spawn has been regularly discussing that on the forums. He is in fact one of the testers for the damage model upgrades. AI behavior and AI performance I think needs to be looked at, but we do know that they are, because about 3 or 4 months ago they said that they were rewriting all of the maneuvering routines for the AI aircraft. Thirdly, the map. The Normandy map still needs fleshing out, in my opinion. I would like to see them pay a little bit more attention to southern England, and I would like them to extend the high res or the high detail work further into France. I would also dearly, dearly love, and this is a big ticket item which I don't expect to see in reality, I would really love them to enable toggle for the advanced landing grounds in France, so that mission makers can have them turned off or on at the base map level. So you could basically run a 1943 scenario where the Allies have not yet landed in France and they have not yet constructed those advanced landing grounds. The final thing I'd like to see updated, and this ties into the damage model, is the damage modeling of the AI and the behavior when damaged of the AI. I think if they can get all that done, then they're pretty much there with a nice solid base game which then they can build on for the future. I expect that we will see that as part of 2.5 or in the development of 2.5 over the next 12 months.
November 172 Sierra Papa Lima Charlie Lima
Okay,
Kilo,
so
altimeter 3017.
let's just do a quick read back on that.
Lima, Charlie, Lima, Kilo, altimeter
3017.
3017, November, 172, Sierra, Papa.
It's going to freeze the track IA here so it doesn't do what it just did, which is jump around. There we go, that's about 3017. So the last of the three to discuss is IL-2 BOX series. I was a very, very late comer to BOX. The initial development of that game did not inspire confidence in me at all. However, it is very fun. I enjoy flying BOX. I would not say it is a high fidelity simulator, and there are always areas of concern, damage, some flight model stuff I'm not sure about, some of the arcadey, quite gamey elements I'm not too keen on, and I also find the net still to be relatively unstable. It's a lot better than it used to be, but I experience quite a lot of instability with the multiplayer. I understand that the mission editor is not the easiest thing to use, and it sounds like they have not built in the full sweep of sort of events and statistical analysis that you could do with Claude. So for people running servers and wanting to collect nice detailed statistics, then it's not so easy. The last major issue with IL-2 BOX is the visibility bubble. You basically are restricted to about 9 kilometers, I think, of visibility around the player. And I am aware that Jason Williams has said that this is being revised for 2018 some point. It sounds like the 3.0 patch will have major changes to visibility and increasing the distance and clarity out. So that will be quite a nice addition, I think. I sort of use Boss at the moment as my jump in and have a blat and have some fun sim. I'm using DCS as my more serious sim, where I can perhaps do a bit of pre-flight planning, think a bit more about what I'm doing, and obviously enjoy the jets. And Xplane 11 here is my sit down and talk shit and try and complete this long journey sim. So I've got options, I've got enough options, and it's likely that those three Sims, DCS, IL2 box, and Xplane will continue to form the bulk of the aviation related uploads on the channel. Speaking of the channel, I recently started posting some videos of city skylines, which I will continue with. I've got another one ready to upload, part 2 of episode 6. City Skylines is quite a relaxed sim. You can just, it's not a sim, a relaxed game. You can just potter away without any real serious consequences. It's non-competitive, which is nice. And then there is a couple of other games which I may actually do some episodes of. I do have Skyrim. I haven't played Skyrim for ages, but I've got a heavily modded version of Skyrim, so I may start uploading a few episodes of that. Alternatively, I may create a second sort of sub-channel for the non-simming content. I'm not sure, but I think it's fine just to keep it all on one channel. So we're in the cloud now, and you can see the frame tearing a lot more obviously there. Look at that. So I need to turn on VSync, I think, for the future episodes, because it's very, very distracting and ugly when you see that frame tearing. We're popping out of the cloud now. Let's check our distance. We are nearly halfway across. So this is actually going remarkably well. Let's have a bit of a glance around the place. Looking at the aircraft interior as well, it does not appear that they've substantially changed anything here. The windows are just a little bit grubby around the edges. Now, I like that. I've seen some complaints about the windows, the dirt and scratches on those, but I think that's quite well done. It's just around the edges mostly. Although I think I would clean that bit there. That looks a bit grubby. But I don't have a problem with that. A little few scratches and things up there, but they're not massively distracting or glary. The interior cockpit shadows are still a bit of an annoyance for me. Maybe someone knows how to get rid of those jagged cockpit shadows that you can see there. I'd like much smoother edging. There it is there as well. So if anyone knows how I can resolve that problem, I would certainly appreciate it. Right, I'm just going to grab a little bit of water here. Let's just pretend that I've got a bottle of water stashed back behind the seat. So I've had my refreshing glass of water. We should probably do some engine checks. We've been flying for quite some time now. Everything looks good here. Looks like I'm going to have to tweak my track IR too. But this is a really nice view. This view here. The dash on the cockpit itself looks really quite lovely. With the nice bright lighting coming in from the outside. There is no appreciable glare from the sun in Xplane 11. You can stare at it directly and everything maintains its visual clarity. There's a rotating cloud for you. It bugs the crap out of me. Rotating clouds. Oh, we've just had a weather update. This is one thing I really despise about these texture clouds, the non-particle clouds. They rotate when you look at them. They just pop in and out. This is something that I don't like about all sims. And they almost all do it. Wow, have we had a change in the color of the sea? Everything appears to have gone this fantastic turquoise, pale, luminous blue. I think that's just the weather model's updated. What it does is it basically just does a refresh once every, I don't know, 45 minutes or 30 minutes or so. And so you get these sudden changes in weather. But this looks quite good. Although it's a little hard to make out the horizon. It's a little dangerous. But it looks good. Right, let's adjust this track IR then. There we go. Actually, I'm just going to... There we go, it's better. Sitting up a bit higher in the cockpit now. Okay, we'll stop looking around. It's a bit distracting. Okay, I'm just looking on SkyVector here to see our approaches and whatnot. I'm going to check our map here as well. Oh yeah, it looks like they're sending us on course for possibly this Lima 620, Bravo 15 Lima 620 approach here. Or they're sending us just parallel to this one. Actually, that's probably more... Oh yeah, that's what they're doing. They're sending us parallel to this one. Looks like we've probably got about another quite some flying time ahead of us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push the throttle forward. I'm going to go for 2500 RPM now. And that will gain us a few knots. And I'm not going to be concerned with fuel efficiency, so I'm going to just squeeze a little bit more fuel through the engine. (9 degrees), so we're plenty warm outside. How's our airspeed now? Yeah, we've just gained about another 15 knots. So that's just going to increase our rate of travel over the water here. We may get visual contact with the land in not too distant future. So, can we see the land yet? Still no. We're definitely well out over the water now. We've got some good airspeed though. Got to keep an eye on my temps and things, but everything looks okay. We do have 2700 RPM. I'm just gonna pull that a touch because we're nearing the red line. I'm gonna go back to 2550 just to be safe. We'll lose a bit of airspeed, but it's tolerable.
November 172
Right,
Sierra.
140.
140. Vectors for the visual. Runway 21. Descend and maintain 5,000.
Wow, okay, so we can descend and maintain 5,000. We are now getting lined up, I think, to approach. Whoopsie, that was the wrong button. We're now getting ready to approach.
Heading 140. Vectors for the visual. Runway 21. Down to 5,000. November.
Okay, I need to correct that.
172 Sierra. Papa.
I need to send us down to 5,000. We're not too far off it, but let's just correct this now quickly. And we'll just drop down. Once we hit 5,000, we'll turn it back on. And it's about right there. Okay, 5,000 heading 142. We'll come left 2 degrees. That's good. Okay, we're tracking now. Let's check our map because let's see what they're trying to line us up on. Ooh, okay, they're not trying to line us up on a specific runway. They're just sending us generally in. So we're probably going to wind up doing some turny turns and... Oh, hello, we've started climbing again here as well. Let's get rid of the AP again. Hitting altitude off, I'm going to trim the aeroplane down into this one. And then trim back up, and then AP on, heading and out. We're a bit closer to the 5,000 mark now. Heading is still 140. It's all looking very sharp here. I'm really hoping we can make sight of land shortly.
November 172 Sierra, Papa, Oscar, Sierra, Delta, India, altimeter 3026.
3026, let's read that back. 3026.
Oscar, Sierra, Delta, India, altimeter 3026. November
3026.
172 Sierra, Papa.
Temperature's coming up, so we need to descend again now because we need to maintain our 5,000. So let's just do a bit of this jiggery pokery. We'll turn the altitude off and we'll descend again. So trim down into the descent and level off there. And that appears to be holding. Could put a notch of left rudder trim, I think, here, just to stabilize the aeroplane a bit. Everything else is showing really good. Tons and tons of fuel. Really crap loads of fuel. I'm starting to get less worried about the trip across the Tasman Sea at the end of this flight, end of this series. Right, what can we see? Gosh, it's very, very hazy out there. I do intend at some point to start installing Ortho XP land textures, but because I'm covering so much ground in this series so quickly, there is not much point installing them all the way along the route. So what we'll probably do is when we get to the end of the journey, that is when we get to New Zealand itself, I will download the Ortho XP textures for the whole of New Zealand, and we'll probably then do some scenic flying around the country with high-res textures down on the ground, which should be fun. Xplane will be probably up to about version 500 by then, at the rate it's taking me. Alright, look at this. There may actually be some land at about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock that we can see. There is a peninsula that sticks out over there somewhere. Gosh, the visibility though, the haze. It's just wrapping right around me. This has almost certainly been the longest flight I've flown in the journey so far. This has been quite a journey. And since getting airborne, I've actually been quite happy with the ATC. I think they've done a reasonable job there. In-game air traffic control. Adjusting my course now and then, giving me updated altimeter. You'll notice I've been flying with the yoke out the whole time. We could leave that in, but I think it's nice to see all the instruments.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Fly heading 030. Descend and maintain 2000.
Okay, 030, descend and maintain
November
2000.
172 Sierra Papa. Descend and maintain 2000.
Down to 2000. November 172 Sierra Papa.
Okay, so I'm also going to now put the mixture in. And we need to turn on to 030. So turning left, descending. Roll out about there. Okay, that's about 0.5. It can keep coming left. Need some rudder in here. Out of trim. 0.39. I've got almost no horizon. It's very difficult to see the horizon here. Okay, we've overturned. Come back to the right. Right, that's 030 about there. Just giving the wings a bit of a waggle. That's 3,000 feet. Power on again. I find the air traffic control in Xplane 11 will very quickly react if you don't follow out their instructions within about 3 seconds of them being issued. If you even spend time trying to open the response window, they're already yelling at you to hurry up and get your shit together. So it can be a bit nerve-wracking. It's 2,500. Okay, power back up now to about 2200 RPM. Nothing too fast. Maintain this descent to where bang on. Close that blimmin' window there. Okay, we're nearly there. Right, autopilot on for now, heading and altitude. Now what I want to just do is check that we get... Oh crap, no, heading off. Ah, too late. I'll just rewind this down. I'll wind this down like that. Now I know that we need to come a bit further left than the actual required heading. Okay, we're 100 feet too high. So that's 0.4. It really needs calibrating that DG. Just keep swinging it left. 100 feet up, we're okay. So air traffic control is now sending us in. Bound to get visual sooner or later. Looks like we're doing a bit of a orbit just off the field. Still no visual. I'm really zoomed in there, but nothing. We just have to trust them that they're sending us in the right direction. View's a bit wonky there. Let's try and just realign everything here so it looks a bit more sensible. There, that's about right. The bits of dust on the screen are actually making it a little bit harder to see what's going on at these altitudes. So 3 o'clock somewhere should be the peninsula that sticks out. Can't see any land. Ah yes, I think we may have some hills. There's a slight shadow over there. think my heading's a bit wonky here. Yeah, I'll just come right a fraction. You can see from my flight plan how we had a wobbly old time trying to get lined up on the correct heading. Good stuff. Now, I think we'll go for more airspeed because we're very slow there and well down below sort of normal cruise range. We're down in the doldrums of hanging around the airfield range. It looks like they're not going to send us into land right away, so I'll push it back up and try and get some of this here completed a bit faster. I've just realized I've got about 10 or 15 minutes left in real life before I'll have to pause this and potentially pick it up later. I was a bit worried this was going to happen, that I might not actually have the time in real life to complete this journey in one go. So we'll just keep going as far as we can here for the next 10 minutes. And then there'll be a sort of slight awkward pause in the video, and we'll start again as soon as I get the chance.
November
There we go.
172
120.
Papa. Fly heading 120.
Okay, we'll just kick that around and we'll let the aircraft turn on AP. I'm quite happy to let it do this. I trust the... Let's just pull the engine back. I trust the autopilot to swing us around. We'll take the opportunity while that's happening to check our instruments. Everything's fine. Everything's in the green. And we should be about to roll out on about 120. Okay, we're a couple of degrees off course. What is that over there? That's nothing. That's the scratch on the windscreen. Looks like we've got a bit of left wing down. Is it straight? No, that's okay. The wings are level. Well, everything just rendered in. We now have hills, quite visible. They've just launched out of the cloud at me, out of the haze. Have lobbed themselves straight into my cockpit. So we must be about to get a right-hand turn. Ah, it looks like they may be sending us around to approach the main runway here from the northeast. So I suspect we'll intercept this about here, and then they'll turn us right. Which way does that go? Yeah, we're going to be approaching in the next 2 or 3 minutes to get the right-hand turn. Start getting yourselves ready, people. We're going to turn the landing light on.
November.
Here we are.
72 Sierra. Papa. Fly heading 180.
180.
Heading 180, November 172 Sierra, Papa.
Okay, so I'm compensating for the fact that my DG is not properly lined up, and we're actually using the track here on my digital GPS to tell me where I'm really going, but this is just, I've had to compensate. That should go on about 180. It's going to be 182, isn't it? Yeah, 181. Okay, well, 181's okay. You know what? I'm going to be pedantic and I'm going to pull it one left. Oh, 180. We're okay. Should be lined up on Rafiq Hariri Airport. It should be over there, I think. This is going to send us right over downtown Beirut. The marina. Now, I don't know where all the buildings are because this is actually city. This is actually very urban along here. I used to spend some time in Beirut a few years ago. And there's a power station somewhere up here, coal-fired power station. And then either side of this highway network, which is horrifically busy with traffic, it's very densely populated. Well, not very dense. It's not like Singapore, but it's urban. It's a real shame that it's so hazy because it's quite a spectacular sight coming in over Beirut. But it looks like a spectacle that we may not get to enjoy today. You can actually go skiing up there in winter. Yes, Lebanon has ski fields. And the Lebanese do like to ski. It's a bit of a hangover from the French colonial period, I believe.
November 172
210.
Papa. Fly heading 210. Report the field in sight.
Okay, I'm going to move that menu up there because I know I'm going to need it. We're going 120. Sorry, 210. Turning on to 210. Throttling back now. Oh, actually, we can maintain 2000. That's good. Mixture full rich. And we're going to report the field in sight. So, jeez. 210, we can come left now, 3 degrees. It's probably a bit too much. Now, where is that airfield? Airport rather, it's an international, pretty major airport, this one here. Ah, there's downtown. That's actually a lot more built up than it looks here, but there are some towers there, and there's the famous hotel. I forget the brand, but it's the famous hotel that was hit by shells during the Civil War, and the battle damage I think is still showing on that hotel. There's the field. AP off.
Heading 210. We'll call the field. November 172 Sierra, Papa.
I need to report the field
Center,
inside.
November 172 Sierra,
Okay, we're lined up
Papa.
now. So they were, I was being sent off a little bit too.
172 Sierra Papa. Contact tower on 118.9er.
So now we're contacting tower.
Contact tower on 118.9er. November 172 Sierra, Papa.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Runway 21. Clear to land.
Okay, clear to land, runway 21.
Runway 21, cleared to land. November 172 Sierra, Papa.
It seems like you have to disable the menu.
Tower, November 1.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Papa.
You have to actually close that and re-enable it. Right, I need to slow down. I need to get set up for landing here. So I've lost a lot of time fiddling around with that bloody radios menu, that interface. It's incredibly inconvenient to have to constantly close and reopen this thing. And it's probably going to mean I may not get down here. I'm going to have to... There is one aircraft over there. I can see an aircraft light. Someone taxiing. And I would love to get my flaps down, but I can't because we're too fast. I'm stuck here in this ridiculous situation where I'm too fast to get... I'm going to just use my rudder. I'm going to side slip off some of this. It's very naughty. Yeah, we got 4 whites, so we're way too high. Trying to get rid of this airspeed the best I can. Still on 4 whites. Flaps are now fully down. Trim that nose down, 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 down. Nice big long runway though here. Still got 4 whites. I'm way too high. Speed's okay though. 65 knots is tolerable. Oh, sorry, 70 knots is tolerable. I can just raise the nose a bit. Okay. Feeling a little bit more confident about this now. Good thing we've got such a massive long runway with the threshold so far down. Now the issue I'm going to have here is the handling just after touchdown, because I found it quite difficult on takeoff to get used to the new... Here we go. We've got our first... There we go. Now we've got 2 reds and 2... Okay, we're a little bit low now all of a sudden. There we go. We can hold this. We can hold this. Oh, it's a bit high. Okay, it's a better angle though. So the ground handling... Oh, we've got a crosswind too here. Look at that. We are cocked off to the right. Airspeed's good. We can probably just pull on a little bit more. And see if we can stall it on here.
November 172 Sierra Papa Gate taxi via 21.
Yeah, this is the ground handling. Oh, jeez. It's all over the place. It's sliding around. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Wow. And I can't take my hands off the controls here to transmit because it's so difficult.
Gate taxi via 21 November
Oh.
172 Sierra Papa.
Yeah, that's something that's actually a lot more difficult than it is in real life, because I don't have you don't have the mouse to worry about in real life. Obviously, you don't have to. Did I have my landing light and taxi light on? I think I have my landing light on. We can probably... We are...
November 172 Sierra Papa. Contact ground on 121.9er.
Landing light off. Contact ground.
Contact ground on 121.9er November 172 Sierra Papa.
So we have made it to the Middle East. We are well and truly out of Europe. Turkey even and Cyprus are left behind. And I have got about 2 minutes to remain, so this video may actually fade out before I make it to the parking lot. I will record as much as I can, but if it fades out and stops, that means real life has other plans for me. The lovely markings on the ground are back.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Are you with me?
Yes, I am with you. I did read back. Oh, bollocks. God damn it. I really need a shortcut key. Ground. Ground. Oh dear. Ground. Okay.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Are you with me?
So we've got a problem here that 121.9, which should be my... Okay, we should be on 121.9 now on both channels. Nope. So we've got a problem with the air traffic control. It doesn't look like I can actually contact ground. It's not letting me contact ground here. I've got it all set up, I believe. It's actually on the auto switch to.
November 172 Sierra Papa. Are you with me?
Okay, so the air traffic control after landing appears to be balked, and that guy's just going to keep reading back. We are not going to bother going all the way to the stand then. Oh, actually, this might be the stand up here. And look at the airfield. There are no objects here. So this airfield is completely it looks to be completely unbuilt. So there's a project for someone. Why is Rafiq Hariri Airfield completely empty? There's nothing here. No terminal, no towers, no sheds, no hangars, nothing. I don't understand. Okay, well, we'll shut the engine down, put the brakes on. Alternator off. Avionics off. Should have done that already. Lights off. Battery off. We're all parked up. Flaps are up. There we go. We've done it. Finally uploaded another episode, or completed another episode of the Xplane series, and a few interesting discussion points along the way. Whew. If you actually watched that, if you're one of the 3 people who actually managed to watch that, then thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon. So as usual, to finish off, let's have a look at the final approach and landing. We'll start from here. As you can see, I was a bit high at this point. We had the 4 white lights, and then I ended up actually getting a little bit low towards the close. Probably because I had such low throttle. Quite a high sync rate at this point. It's disappointingly barren here at this airfield. Very, very barren. I would have thought that there would have been a complete set of structures and everything here, given that it's the main airport for this entire country. Anyway. So there we are, putting the power on at the last minute to get us up over the threshold. Let's try and get a relatively good view. Here we are. And there's the sync onto all 3 wheels, but that was quite a high drop. I dropped down from about 15 to 20 feet, so that was pretty heavy. And there's me fighting with my rudders there. There's a lot of oversteer, it seems to me. I mean, it's a lot more sensitive than it used to be. It used to be almost impossible to get the thing to move, but now it seems to really want to slide around. Possibly the nose wheel there is just here. Look at that nose wheel. It's really going crazy. So I think the sensitivity of that nose wheel needs to be turned down somewhat. It needs to be a bit more precise than it is. But there we are. Welcome to Lebanon.